YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Donald Trump has threatened the Iranian power grid, and Iran has vowed to hit the U.S. energy and water facilities in response. Well, how convenient of it all. It's convenient because, of course, this has been what the plan has been since day one. For the United States of America to be destabilized, something was going to have to occur. And of course, unprovoked, America and Israel get in this phony dispute with Iran. They go after the oil structures, they go after the power plants, and of course, why? So that they can set up coming after the United States and shutting off our power grid. And how convenient all of it is, since we're on the cusp of Agenda 2030, which all of us have been warning about for years, because the goal of Agenda 2030 is to shut everything down, to take us offline, to destabilize America, to collapse the dollar, to get us into all electric vehicles and have everything run and rationed through the government, who will then have total control over all of our lives. They might as well call this conflict that's going on Conflict 2030, because how convenient it helps every single part of Agenda 2030 move forward. I guess that's just a coincidence, right? So when Iran doesn't back down, when Donald Trump does move forward, or pretend, I should say, because this is all political theater, to move forward and attack Iran's grid. Remember, this is a war on the civilians and the civilians' way of life. These are people in power manipulating the people they are supposed to serve so that they can convince you that the things happening are all a result of all of these conflicts going on between these countries. But really, it's just a small group of psychopaths who aren't elected, who were told win elections, who are put into power, who are doing everything they can to make sure they remain in power for the rest of their lives, while we all remain under their thumb. And the only way to have us totally under control and totally under their thumb is with total control of electricity, with total control of our lives through technology. And that's what they're working towards with Agenda 2030. And that's what this conflict is really about. Yes, parts of this conflict are about the greater Israel expansion, but don't think for 1 second that Iran isn't in on this, that the leaders in Iran haven't sold out and turned their backs on their own people, because they have. And the only casualties of this war are civilians, right? And the oil, the energy, and our way of life. Think about the old visions of war, right? Battlefields, guys shooting one another until there's the last man standing, right? All the soldiers are dead on one side and all the soldiers on the other side. Whoever left standing, have more men standing or whatever, wins the war. The other side surrenders. We're outnumbered. They have thousands left. We have hundreds left. We better surrender. They win the war, right? Have you noticed the headlines? They're all about the energy grid, going after oil prices raising in America. How convenient as well, part of Agenda 2030 is to get us all into controllable electric vehicles, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago. The Sustainable Development Goals is what this is about. Transitioning to renewable energy is what Agenda 30 is. Transitioning to renewable energy. So how convenient that countries are threatening one another by saying, we're going to blow up all your oil. Then we're going to make you go into your oil reserves and run out of those. And then you'll have no electricity and you'll end up conveniently like how Cuba is right now, right? In a total blackout, because that's what the plan is for everyone. And they've told us this for years. Look at these articles, because I've shown these articles over the years to show you the predictive programming. Why America's electrical grid is vulnerable to attack. 2022, right? 2023, 3 alarming threats to the U.S. energy grid, cyber, physical, and existential events. That was 2023. 2024, U.S. electric grid growing more vulnerable to cyber attacks. That's 2024. 2025, the U.S. grid attack looming on the horizon. Look at all the articles. Just Google it. Vulnerable U.S. electric grid. Well, you would think that this would be a top concern of our government, right? Who's supposed to be serving us? Well, the grid is vulnerable, they keep telling us. But we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to talk about what a man is and what a woman is. And if children should be able to castrate themselves, then we're all going to argue about it because they've turned people into total lunatics who believe that kids should castrate themselves, and they're actually defending this notion. And then sane people are trying to figure out how there's so many insane people. They don't realize everybody's under mind control while the government is doing nothing but divide us, and then telling us, oh yeah, by the way, the grid's going to get shut down. All the predictive programming with movies like Leave the World Behind. How many movies have you seen where there's total blackouts, chaos ensues, everything's closed, everything's shut down? It's called a Great Reset. And COVID wasn't just the Great Reset. These are other articles over the years I've shown. Government tests energy blackout emergency plans as supply fears grow. Dark Times, War Game, emergency blackout plans to cope with 7-day outages reveal disruption to water supplies and transport. It's laughable. It's laughable. How the U.S. military used a creepy island to test cyber attacks on the grid in the middle of a pandemic. Huh? Does that look familiar? That's Plum Island, ladies and gentlemen. That's where they created diseases like Lyme's disease. That's where they began doing all these experiments with mosquitoes and putting diseases in animals, right? They moved it off of Plum Island and actually put it, I believe, in Kansas now, but Plum Island's still being used. What they're practicing there is an electrical grid shutdown. All the stories about people being able to blow the grid up. I remember some of you who have been following me for a long time, every couple of months, a story about, oh, this town lost power because these guys just decided to shoot the electric, they went to the power plant and just shot it with machine guns. Oh, yeah, what was the motive? Oh, there wasn't one. Oh, but they're willing to spend 50 years in jail because they wanted to shoot bullets at the electrical grid to shut down a little small town's electricity, right? Telling you over and over and over and over again that it's coming because that's how predictive programming works. You're being conditioned and prepared for this. So that when it happens, that's how predictive programming works. You're more willing to accept it. You're more willing to believe, oh, this was we should have done something about the power grid. It was open for attack. And now, look, we went into conflict with Iran. We had to defend Israel, the God's chosen people. And now we're without electricity, right? All you have to do is to look at how ridiculous the predictive programming is. Go to Google and put in U.S. energy grid. You don't have to put anything manipulative in. Just put in U.S. energy grid. The U.S. energy grid is a vast aging network. They're telling you, and even looking up what the U.S. energy grid is, that it's aging. That, in other words, what does that tell you subliminally? It's aging. Oh, man, that means, if it's aging, it's going to die soon, right? Because when things age, they eventually die. Of course, in the future, that won't be what happens with transhumanism. But aging network, right? Letting you know, oh, boy, that grid is getting ready to shut down, right? And think about all the stories they've been preparing us with Cuba, right? Cuba's power grid collapse, again taking place. Third nationwide blackout amid U.S. oil blockade. So because of the oil blockade, right now Iran is threatening to come after the West because we're going after them because we have to do it, right? And then you look at all the articles that are out there in the last couple of days. Fuel rations and cash handouts. Iran war energy shock hits Asia. It's time to plan for oil rations. Energy economist says from 4-day weeks to AC bans, the world is scrambling to save energy. That's what it's about. That's what they've told you it's about. And that's what the World Economic Forum and the United Nations have been telling you for years, that it's time for renewable energy. Not because we have nothing to provide energy. There's not enough energy anymore. Because they want you to live like prisoners. Rationing. Lights out at 8 o'clock, right? Think of how a prisoner lives, and then that's how they want you to live. But here was the problem. There's not enough jail cells for all of us. So I've said this 1 trillion times. We've built the cells for them. Wherever you live, an apartment, You share a room with a friend, you live with your parents, have your own house, doesn't matter. You have walls around you, surrounded by what? Tech. You're on a computer or phone listening to me. So am I. You have television, some of you, right? Have cameras in those, have cameras in your phone, have microphones all around you. Where does that go? It goes right to the NSA, right? So you're being listened to, you're being monitored like a prisoner inside of a prison. The only difference is that, well, we could still turn our water on when we want. We could still shower at 1 o'clock in the morning, move freely in our cells. Well, that's about to change because they don't want you to move freely in your cell. They don't want you to have electricity as you please. And they're going to convince you that all of the conflicts going on are the reason for it. But we'll be thankful, right, that we get any electricity at all because we become so dependent on it. We've moved away from living like the Amish, and we're all on our tech, and everyone out there who listens to the channel, we could all sit here and be like, oh yeah, well, we're not like everybody else with the technology. Let's be real. You're on a phone, I'm on a computer, we're on technology, we use technology, we get information from the technology, whether it's looking at the propaganda to debunk the propaganda. We're not living like the Amish people are because the Amish aren't listening. The Amish don't know what COVID was because the Amish didn't have technology. So they didn't even know it existed because it didn't exist. It existed in people's minds. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the beginning of the Great Reset. And this could very well be that black swan event that they've been telling us about over and over and over again that's coming. Now you can look at it and say, well, that's fear-mongering. Talking about a black swan event and a grid shutdown. They have told us that this is coming because that's how predictive programming works. And that's why all of these movies continue to show you those plots, like Leave the World Behind. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but I've covered every one over the years. I've covered every one. They're all on the website where you can find the movie and you can go, oh, there's another movie where there's a total blackout, and another movie where there's a total blackout, and another movie where there is one. And this gives them an open door to do it. Because what really has to occur is you have to be convinced that the reason your electricity off is something that is actually believable, right? I mean, they could shut your electricity off during a blizzard and you'd believe it, right? You won't know if it's actually off because of the weather or not. But if somebody told you, well, the government just shut your electricity off during the blizzard because they want people to die of hypothermia, freeze to death, you'd say, oh, that's crazy conspiracy. Look at the weather outside, right? Well, in the middle of March on 3/22, if the government shuts the grid off or blows it up themselves, let's be realistic, and tells you that it's Iran, well, now you're going to believe it. Because one, you've been conditioned to believe that the grid is vulnerable and ready to be attacked because that's all they've told you. Whether it's a cyber attack or a bomb, likely to be a cyber attack, they've conditioned you into believing it. And now you'll believe it when it occurs. And that's what they need because they don't want the people to stand up and say, no, we don't believe Iran did this. We believe that you did it. But you know what will happen? Democrats and Republicans will go after one another because they'll say, you voted for Trump. He brought us into this war. So you're responsible for it. And nobody will hold these people accountable who are doing it. These actors in Congress, these Freemasons, these members of secret societies who are the same members of these pedophile sex rings that people side with. Oh, I'm not going to look at Trump as being a pedo, even though he's in every Epstein picture possible, because he's my president. He's my guy. I won't look at Chuck Norris. How dare you question Chuck Norris, even though a 10-year-old went on the witness stand and over said that man was one of the people who molested me. You know how many people yesterday? Oh, you're stretching. You're going after Chuck Norris. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you siding with Chuck Norris because of idolatry over a 10-year-old who's claiming that this happened to him? Don't you always want some more information? Instead of just saying, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist, you're stretching. Oh, because you like Chuck, because Chuck waves the American flag and Chuck professes Christ. Well, you know who else would profess Christ to you? Satan himself. Because Satan is a deceiver and so are his minions. They're liars and murderers like their father, the devil. So all the headlines out there, they're not about war. Oh yeah, you might hear little whispers of troops on the ground. But all you're hearing about is bombs hitting energy grids, power plants, oil tankers going down. That's all you've heard the last couple of weeks. And that's what it's about, is the sustainable goals, right? That's what it's about. If you look up what the main objective is of Agenda 2030, it's renewable energy. right? Because that's controllable. That's getting everyone, when they talk about equality, they're not talking about your skin or your sexual orientation. They're saying, hey, we want you all to live equal, which means you all get 10 coins a week that you can use on plant-fed food that we feed you, which is really, human fetal cells, et cetera, et cetera. That's the equality they're talking about, that you all live like prisoners among us. But we'll tell you that the equality of the sustainable goals is about, we want black people to be equal to whites. We want gays to be equal to straights. Let's keep everybody divided so they don't even realize that, we want things like universal basic income, digital IDs to make sure that if you speak against what's happening to you, we'll send someone to your home to taser your nuts. And we'll make sure that you can't leave your home for 30 days and you have travel bans for the rest of your life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All brought to you by the United Nations, by the way, right? The United Nations, right? Remember, the good old UN, founded in what was the name of the UN back? I forget. What was it called? Lucifer Trust, right? Today known as Lucius Trust, but Lucifer Trust, the United Nations. It's one and the same, right? The UN Lucius Trust was Lucifer Publishing Company, founded by who? Alice Bailey and her husband Foster Bailey, a 33rd degree Freemason. Must be a coincidence, right? And of course, Alice was a disciple of occultist Helena Blavatsky, right? They're all occultists. Do you remember the externalization of the hierarchy? That's what Alice Bailey wrote. This is Alice Bailey, this fine-looking hog. Alice Bailey, this witch that I think even Satan himself would be turned off by. This is the Lucius Trust, the United Nations, right? And if you go and you look at the Lucius Trust and the connection to the United Nations, it's not hidden. The only thing that they don't tell you is that it's really the same thing. And if you go down there, Lucius Trust runs a blog, World Goodwill, which focuses on defining new sustainable development goals for humanity. That's who it comes from, Lucifer Trust. That's who's responsible for the sustainable development goals. And the only way they'd be able to bring this in, being that Alice Bailey is a witch, a magician, an occultist, is by, having a great magician himself bring it to you.
Really funny opinion, but there is in Lapland there is a group of the shamans there who do something called collective dreaming. They will go together in seclusion and do the rituals with eating very little food and being in a solitude for a long time, and they will go and dream the dreams. And the dream have to be collective, same dream. So coming out of this dream, once the shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening, that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything looks similar. But he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think about that? That kind of theory. Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order, that the human being can find new order. And it's not so stupid thinking about this in that way. It's completely turning things upside down.
And that's right, all produced by Donald Trump, the character put into this position so that you believe that these irrational decisions with Donald Trump, who's supposedly chosen by God, right? This is a dumbed down society we're living in. Christians siding with the state of Israel who don't have any conception of what Israel actually is. They think it's this state that was developed in 1948, which is a military-industrial complex, which does nothing but commit mass genocide, right? They think, that's the chosen people there because that's the land. Jerusalem, you see over there on the map? That's where that happened in the Bible, right there. As these people have taken that land, we're supposed to let them do whatever they want. And we're supposed to side with the devil himself, right? That's how dumb of a time period that we're living in. That these people actually think, this stuff with Trump was chosen by God because they missed his ear by an inch and they wanted him dead so bad the guy tried to kill him on a golf course. Well, if they want him dead, he'd be dead. He would have been dead a long time ago. I mean, what's the quote from The Godfather? If the world still has anything, anyone could be killed. Is that the quote from Michael Corleone? I believe it's, if anything in this life is certain, if history has taught us anything, It's that you can kill anyone. And that's true. We've seen it throughout history, but apparently they tried with Trump, but God intervened, right? So all this stuff going on is God's will with Donald Trump. So we can't question what's going on with Donald Trump. As Christians, we're not supposed to. As Republicans, we're not. I'm not a Republican. I'm saying Republicans, that's their mindset. We can't question what's going on. And the Democrats just go, this is irrational thinking. Everything he's doing is irrational. Of course. It's all sabotage. That's the name of the game. Sabotage for Agenda 2030 to bring in the sustainable goals, to make us all live like slaves. This is the Great Reset happening in front of your eyes. But they need to convince you of these things, because the last thing they can have happen is that all the people unite as one. Realize that all this stuff going on that you hear in the news is fake. That the governments are actually working together to enslave their own people. That none of these people were ever elected in the first place. And then the people go, wait, what? And they go, I'm sorry that I hated you because you dyed your hair blue. I'm sorry I hated you because you got a MAGA flag. We got to get these people. These people are going, well, those people are obviously underground. They're in many locations, but they could still be found, right? I mean, in Revelation chapter 6, verses 16 through 17, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Well, they may be able to hide from us, but they can't hide from God. But unfortunately, they don't need to hide from any of the people, because they have the people on strings. They play them like puppets. Conservatives talk about Agenda 2030. They don't even realize that Trump's bringing it in. All this stuff with digital IDs, data centers. Nope. Turn a blind eye. Just like the pedophilia stuff. Oh, we got to get those files. We got to get Epstein. Well, Donald Trump's and all these photographs and all supposed files that come out. Shouldn't you be against Donald Trump? No, those are all made up. They photoshopped those because Donald Trump would never be with Jeffrey Epstein. That wouldn't happen, right? Right. Believe what you want to believe. I mean, go look at the comment section from the Chuck Norris video. I mean, I've never seen so many people just it's embarrassing. Makes me embarrassed to be alive, to see people even following my channel who are like, I followed your fears, but you're wrong on Chuck Norris. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not just showing you Chuck Norris doing all-seeing eye symbolism, okay? To say, oh, Chuck Norris was bad. He was literally in the biggest trial in American history, named by countless children, identified as being one of the people molesting the children. And then you're commenting in the comment section that I'm stretching, that I'm wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking the word of children who have nothing to gain from pointing out Chuck Norris and claiming Chuck Norris did this to them. I mean, is there something wrong with me, or is there something wrong with anybody out there who would defend it? Well, clearly the people who would defend it have something very, very wrong with them. And it's called idol worship. And the same thing's going on with Donald Trump. And for people who can't see it, this stuff with the grid that's going to happen, whether it's now or whether it's next year, it's going to happen before 2030. And everyone's going to believe it because they're going to go, Trump is the worst. I knew what the Democrats and the conservatives will go, well, he did the right thing for Israel. He did it for God's people. So we'll just sit by, because we're supposed to. God tells us that Israel could do no wrong, right? Not ever gaining a clue, not ever leaving the 501c3 churches to actually gain knowledge about who the state of Israel actually is. It's incredible. it's in the Bible. They're called the synagogue of Satan. So keep an eye on this story with the grid, with Iran. It's on 322. This is what's going on. Wouldn't surprise me if right before midnight at some location that it does actually happen where there is one. Now, it's not going to come to America tomorrow, but it's going to start with, retaliation over there, right? Oh, Israel goes dark. Oh, over in the and it's going to move towards America. They're going to condition you into believing it when it happens, that it's happened because of all that conflict. But really, what it is, it's your own government pressing an off switch. Because all your politicians, all have underground bunkers. They're all ready and prepared for this. You're not. They're just waiting to press the off switch, and they're waiting for you to be divided enough to go after one another, right? And who do you think people are going to go after? Democrats or Republicans are going to go after one another because they're going to blame each other. You voted for this, I'm coming after you. And then the Republicans will go, I've had enough of these people. They're transitioning their kids, blah, blah, boom, boom, boom. These people in caves, laughing, Prepared bunkers. We've heard of all the celebrities who have them. What do you think they have them for? Because they're conspiracy theorists? I mean, give me a break. People being played on a fiddle. Now we have to pay attention to this. Because not only are we paying attention to the oil stories and the electric vehicle stuff, the energy grid's what matters most. Because people will go insane, bonkers. People will die fast. Most people don't have enough food in their home to sustain them for a day. I'm serious. There are people that I know that live, and I don't know them like friend-wise, but I've come across people who live on Uber Eats, literally. They don't have canned food. They don't have eggs. And even that obviously spoils fast, but they don't have supplies of food, a week, a month, something that might last them. No access to water, no thinking about, well, where would I have water if something, nothing. So you know how fast people would die without water? Quick, really quick. You could last a little while without food. But what about water? Without electricity, guess what? Without electricity, your well water don't work, right? You better have a lake nearby, better know how to clean your water, better know how to do these things because they know that you don't. But they also know that they've trained everyone out there to think that we're all nuts. We're all wearing tinfoil hats. Till it goes down. And then when it goes down, it'll be just like COVID. All those people we've warned will just roll their eyes at us and they'll go, just shut up. You're not right. That's not what happened. What happened is Iran came after America because Iran is evil and they're of Satan and they were going after God's chosen people and Donald Trump and Jesus were I mean, that's what they'll say because they're that clueless. Yes, they are. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for letting me rant as always. God bless you and your families.